which is very strange when you say about Cyprus, but Cyprus was multicultural. It was English speaking. It was a lot of international companies, not even nearly the volume that we have right now. So as a young, say, past Cypriot, heritage in Cyprus, I felt like, wow, I felt the opportunity here. There was a lot of maturity that took place in that time. And I think this is important as professionals or young professionals, as you grow in a company, is to mature and learn about yourself.
Thank you, Lilly, for being with us today. Andreas, I don't think I told you how I met Lilly.
No, I have no idea.
I kept it as a secret for the podcast.
Okay.
So I remember it was, I did my first business trip in Tel Aviv in March 22. And then I came back and I was like, okay, what's next? And then I found this very interesting conference in Cyprus on payments and regulatory and RegTech. It was the trend at the time. And then I spoke to Lilly about the event because we were thinking even how to potentially sponsor it as a firm. And then I was, oh my God, she was so enthusiastic. She could sell it. And I'm going to learn a lot of things from this lady. And then I was in touch with the Israeli contacts I made at the conference that I was, and instead of promoting, the service products that we have here at the firm, I was telling them, you have to come to this conference in Cyprus. It's amazing. I'm gonna connect you with Lilly. It was, and then some contacts reach out to you, right?
Absolutely. Thank you. That was a great introduction.
Yes, thank you, Lilly, for being with us. But I can really relate now with this infectious energy.
Yeah, it's amazing. She's a rock star.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's such a pleasure, and it's so nice to meet these young, talented guys doing these great podcasts. I mean, I think it's so valuable to hear people's experiences and just have the chance to, talk a little bit about yourselves and your journeys. So very excited to be here. Thank you.
So, Lilly, you have Cypriot origins, but you were not born here, right?
No. So a little bit about my heritage. So my parents are both Cypriot. They're actually from Kyrenia area, and in 1974 with the invasion and everything else, they ended up being in South Africa. The Cypriot diaspora takes people, Cypriots all around the world. I think it's pretty amazing, and I think it really adds to the diversity of Cyprus. I feel like it's expanded our borders. We're not just people from the island of Cyprus. Cypriots are everywhere. Everywhere you go, you can go to China. It's happened to me, and you'll find a Cypriot, in a dim sum restaurant or something. It's really amazing.
I think we have hundreds of thousands of Cypriots in the UK.
Yes,
and we're just 1 million in the island. So a big proportion of Cypriots.
We've got such an amazing diaspora, right? I mean, it's really exciting. So my parents. I was born and raised in South Africa, and
which town?
In Pretoria, which is the capital. People always think it's Johannesburg or Cape Town. They do better marketing, I think, than Pretoria. I guess it's like...
It's like Limassol.
I was just about to say that.
Well, Limassol is not the capital.
Here it is.
We're going to lose the Nicosia followers.
No, I'm holding base there. Yes. So I grew up there. I did my studies there, and then when I actually did my studies in finance, I got my master's in finance, and I decided to come to Cyprus not as a tourist, as I usually was doing in the summers, but as to catch a tan, get a bit of a job, and see what it was like. And I just fell in love with the island. So yes.
How old were you when you moved back? I mean, when you first moved to Cyprus?
I finished my studies. So I was about 23. 24. So I've been here for quite a few decades.
So, like straight after uni, you wanted to start your career in Cyprus. Wow.
Yes.
Why do you want to leave South Africa?
Well, you know what? I'd really enjoyed my summer vacations in Cyprus, and I really thought I'd want to try.
Was there a Cypriot boy involved?
No. At the time, no. But No, there wasn't. But I just loved the whole lifestyle. I loved the lifestyle of Cyprus. I must tell you.
You were coming every summer?
Every summer.
Okay.
From about in my high school career, I was coming in the summers. And I was just like, wow, they have a great life. They have these summers. There's a great life balance here. And just having that proximity of the sea. And, what I realized in South Africa was it's such a huge country. But everybody moves within small areas. So when I moved to Cyprus, my friends back in South Africa were saying, it's impossible. You could never live on an island. You're a big city girl. I mean, Pretoria is 11 million people, compared to the whole of Cyprus with like maybe it's even 16 million if we count the external outskirts of the city. But imagine, and I was like, actually, if you think about it, we live in these big cities, but you all have your routines within the small circumference. So I was like, no, I fit right in Cyprus. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to find a job and I'm going to catch a tan and be very happy here. So that's what happened. That was 22 years ago.
What was your first job in Cyprus?
So as I mentioned, I studied finance, but I'd always had this interest in marketing. And I did have market research as one of my majors at some point and a subject in university. So there was a company called Gamma, which was specializing in market research. And it was was owned by the president, George Vassiliou, at the time. And he taught me my first lesson.
You know that today is his birthday.
No,
I just read on Twitter.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I just read on Twitter.
What a phenomenal character to have as
they say he was like the best president Cyprus ever had.
He was the best PR. I missed his presidency, but in terms of being a boss, he was incredible in terms of PR. He knew absolutely everybody in the company. Wow. He knew my whole story in probably the first week that I was there. And he remembered. It wasn't just that he knew it. He actually remembered. So if he was passing through the office
was an
ex-president
when you were here.
Yes, he was an ex-president. He was an ex-president.
Because
so I missed his presidency.
He was between 88 until 93.
Yeah, so I moved here in 2002, I think. It was 2003. So he was just incredible. I really, really appreciated that because coming as a 23-year-old, and at the time I was working in this market research department, it was where I learned my first basic Greek word because nobody spoke in English to me. So it was 36 Cypriot women and me. And yes, it was the first time I got invited to a traditional Cypriot wedding that had like 5,000 people. That was in my first week of work. Wow. They're like, you're invited to a wedding. I was like, that's amazing. I'm so excited about that, Yes, it was, I think it was at a place called Tricky's Palace. I'll never forget it. I landed up there and there was just like cars lining up. It was unbelievable. I was just so impressed by it.
So it wasn't a cultural show. You really enjoyed it.
It was no, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. All these people. I love a party.
5,000 weddings.
I love a party.
Cypriot.
And we were lining up with our plates. With the first experience I had with a fakiraki. I went to the periptera. I was like the ladies in the office briefed me. You have to put it was pounds at the time. You have to put your pounds in the envelope. So I went to the thing. I got a nice card, but I got a card like this massive card.
So it was fakelara, not fakelaki.
Exactly. And I landed up in this long queue, and I was like, "Where's the bride?" This new colleague of mine, and everybody was with this tiny little, and I had this big card,
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, she's still a friend of mine. This girl, she is really nice. No, I really, I met some amazing people moving initially in this company, and within 6 months, I'd actually been promoted to support one of their MDs. He was South African Portuguese guy, and he was working at Gemma at the time. Promotion, I say quite loosely, because it was basically, I was a fluent English speaker, and he just needed somebody to coordinate some of the communication, not that I could speak Greek, but I could communicate well in English. So I think I was supporting him in that role. So I stayed for about a year there. And then, yes, we made a move after that. So it was a very interesting landing in Cyprus. First year was amazing, gave me a chance to settle in, and I was.
Did you manage to persuade any of your South African friends to move also here, or?
No, I did manage to get them all to come and visit. Well, all, but many of them came to visit, so they were like, wow, this is great. Is this the lifestyle? I'm like, yeah, that's what I was telling you about. What a great lifestyle. And it was just such short distances, so easy.
It was just before Cyprus joined the EU, right?
Exactly
so it was
right before Cyprus.
The economy was growing, adapting to the new EU regulations, becoming a a real country, let's say.
But one of the things about Cyprus that really is incredible is just also the safety aspect. You know, coming from South Africa, where we had always this issue with safety or the thoughts about safety and family and also progression. Coming to Cyprus, you asked me as a 24-year-old graduate what I felt, because you know this is a feeling you get when you arrive in a country, was not just the safety but the opportunity, which is very strange when you say about Cyprus, but Cyprus was multicultural. It was English speaking. It was a lot of international companies, not even nearly the volume that we have right now. So as a young, say, past Cypriot, you know, heritage in Cyprus, you know, I felt like, wow, I felt the opportunity here. And this is what attracted me to stay. Where people thought back home in South Africa, there's no way Lilly would ever stay in Cyprus. I was like, you have no idea. This is a land of opportunity. And it's really about what you make of it, though, you know.
And how did you enter into the events space? Was it like after your market research job? Was it the next step?
Yes. So this is quite a fun story, actually. Well, I think it's fun anyway. Andreas, from the HR perspective, I'll tell you how I got my job in marketing. So as I mentioned, I have a finance background, my master's in finance, and what happened was I really wanted to get into the event space. I really wanted to get into conferences, and one of the top 5 event companies in the world is based in Cyprus.
Wow.
Yes, it's probably one of the top 3. At the time, they had something like 70 offices worldwide. Wow. And they had something like, probably 5,000 people working for them. Okay, so it was massive.
This is what makes sense of saying that Cyprus is at the crossroads of 3 continents. Yes. So it makes sense to have your office here because you can coordinate events all over the world.
Of course, and not just that, you know, like Cyprus per capita years ago was voted amongst the most educated country in the EU, in the world even, per capita. It's a very, very highly educated workforce. Fluency in English, very, very important.
Our currency was even stronger than dollar and the US pound.
And the British pound, yes, was stronger. So there was many, many reasons for them being here. And I would say the main reason was workforce. Second one was also the fact that it was a crossroads to. I think somebody once told me that we're basically 4 hours away from several continents. So we can get to India in 4 hours. We can get into Europe in 4 hours. We can get, and that kind of centricity is. It's amazing, actually, if you think about it, because that's what you want. You want to be in the hub. We're a hub, actually, you know. So this is.
That's
incredible.
why all the rulers of the empires in the past wanted to conquer Cyprus. It was a good place to control.
There's something to be said about history, right? There's something to be said about history and the reasons, and I think this remains. And I think the cultural legacy that has been embedded in Cyprus because of this, I think it's kind of in our culture as well. So I think whoever comes here, whoever does anything in Cyprus, they can make it happen. They can really make it happen. So I love that. So about the job, yes. So
let's go to the fun part.
Yeah. So I had seen an advertisement for this company, and I had sent in my CV for a marketing role. And at the time, you know, in Cyprus, we also have this relatives stream. And I'd spoken to one of my cousins who knew somebody in marketing, and I'd pass on my CV, and they were like, no, she's got no marketing background. We can't consider her for the role. And I was quite devastated because I thought, you know, I'm sure if they'd given me a chance, given me an interview, I could get the job. And I remember my younger brother at the time, he ran the tennis academy. And he ran a tennis academy, and I was a little bit disappointed, and I was having this chat, like a 25-year-old, 24-year-old, whatever I was at the time, and he's like, come past the tennis courts on Thursday, I think it was. I coached the CEO. She's from New York.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to come. So I went down to the tennis courts, and there was this... I'm quite eccentric, but she was really eccentric. She was a blonde, curly hair, like super dynamic woman from New York, CEO, super energized. And like I was standing there at the tennis court and I waited for them to finish, and then my brother came over. He's also a very like charismatic guy, and he's like, meet my sister Lily. She's looking for a job in marketing. And she's like, okay, I'll interview you. She's like, meet me at the pub. At that time,
you mean at the tennis club?
No, not the club, the pub. There was a pub at the time called Finbar's. Yeah. And she's like, meet me at Finbar's at 8. Let's have a chat, So
and a drink.
Yeah, chat and a drink,
Maybe
chat
some
and a
shots.
drink. Yeah. That was me trying.
Let's check your alcohol limits if you're made for this job.
So the energy is matched.
Yeah, the energy is matched for sure,
And the curly hair and the curly hair.
She was amazing. She recruited the core team that still runs the international department within this company. She was really amazing. I mean, my boss after that was pretty incredible as well. But I mean, I thank her for giving me the chance. So it wasn't as easy as a drink.
Are you still in touch with her?
It's a bit of a sad story, but I'll get to that. So what happened was, so we had a drink, and then we had 2 months of interviews. No, it wasn't such a easy ride, but I did get a foot in the door. So we went through 2 months of interviews, and eventually she was like, okay, you can be a marketing assistant. So I thought, yes, great, foot in the door. And so I started there as a marketing assistant. And that was my first entry into the world of international conferences. I started on a Thursday. On the Friday, we flew out to Amsterdam for our first event, international event. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty amazing.
Wow. What did your friends think that making this move, I guess, from something that can be considered more stable or more of your background to jumping into marketing?
I think when you're young, you just, like we're all about the same age. I guess they were so supportive, My friends have played a really important part in my life, and I've grown, obviously, my friend network, but my core friends have been around me for years and years and years. And no, they were very supportive, They were very excited about me getting into this role because I was so passionate about it. I really felt like I could add value. I needed like 3 months to really grasp the concept, but within 6 months, I was already a manager because I just knew that I could
promoted to manager in 6 months? Wow.
I could fit into that. Well, from a junior marketing assistant to a marketing manager. At that time, I'm not gonna glorify it,
You were not asked to make coffees though when you were an assistant, right? It's not like, okay, enough with the coffees. You learn how to do it. Let's do some work now.
No, but we really had to build up the department from scratch. Event marketing at the time was very, very basic. And so that's why I say I'm not going to glorify it, but I am going to say that it was.
You are not. So just to understand, you are not making events and conferences in Cyprus, like international events.
No.
You are just based in Cyprus, and then you would fly to where? North America.
We did global
Europe.
events. Originally, we were running events in very, very fantastic locations. So most of our international events were also focused on the finance sphere, and they were in Switzerland, south of France, Cannes, Monaco. Then we expanded into Australia. So we went into the APAC region. We were running events in Singapore, Hong Kong. Australia, we had our office in Malaysia, so I had a team out there, and then we already had a US office, but then we were doing such a great job in Europe that we started expanding borders, and just we had a marketing team then based in Miami, and so that was at a point where the company was really, really like thriving and growing, and it was super exciting to be part of a big multinational. Yeah.
That would be awesome for a 25-year-old traveling so much and getting to know new cultures and new people.
Yeah, what I think was the most amazing thing is that the diversity of people that you meet. Because I was telling you this is a multi-office company. So at every location we were going, it was 3 or 4 offices getting together, 25 people in a team, and then hosting these amazing events, and you're bonding. And there's so much to be said about teamwork and traveling together and just, coming together for a project, having one team lead, and then just, it was incredible. It was, and at that stage I was probably getting towards my like late 20s. So that was the journey. But yeah, we mapped the globe, and it was all these young people from diverse backgrounds such as myself, and just immersing themselves in the role, and the company culture was incredible. So yeah.
And now you're running Cube Events.
Yeah.
And it's like 6 years old.
Yeah.
So what happened? Why did you feel you had to start your own company? Did you hit like the ceiling, or why did you want to?
I don't know if I hit the ceiling or the ceiling hit me.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I guess this is a point of true honesty as well, is the fact that, there's a lot of maturity and immaturity that comes into the role. And I think at the time I was offered to expand the role in a direction that I didn't feel was the right role for me. And there was also a political landscape that comes in these multinationals. In all companies, there's a political landscape. And that was my first true challenge as a professional,
How old were you?
I was about 31 at the time. And I there's so much to be said about maturity, ego, politics. There's so much to be learned by that. I wish I could go back. I'm so glad I have the opportunity to actually tell like my team now, and educate my team now on understanding, their careers and their, like yesterday we were invited to, one of our clients was throwing a 20-year birthday party, and I have one of my prodigies, she's amazing with me, and they were like, oh, we're going to steal her, we're going to take her, and I'm like, I welcome her growth, I welcome her challenge, I welcome her to gain new steps and new experiences, and I know that she's armed and ready, and I've coached her well enough so wherever she goes from here, it's great, But at that point in time in my career, in the migration of when I left the role, and then, a year later I opened, a few years later actually, we started Cube. There was a lot of maturity that took place in that time. And I think this is important as professionals or young professionals, as you grow in a company, is to mature and learn about yourself. So that was a real learning curve. So
I think it's quite mature, actually, not immature, to know if you are ready for a role that is being offered to you, and not to just accept it. What do you think about that?
It wasn't really as romantic as that.
It was either you take it or not. It's like, here is a door. Do you want this position or not?
That's probably more realistic.
Okay.
That is the truth. That was the truth, and that's what happens. And that always happens. Yes, I wish it was romantic as that. It was kind of like out the door kind of thing, And at the time, that was quite devastating. I had an international team. I had a market research team of probably like 5 or 6 PhD researchers. I had a supportive team there. I had a team of international marketing managers. I had a team in the US. I had a team in Europe. I had, and that devastating loss was a loss of identity. It was a loss of, I could never say my name without the double barrel of the company name behind me. It was such a part of me. And I guess this is who I am, though. Whatever it is that I commit to is a part of me, So, yes, it was.
Yeah, but if that didn't happen, Cube Events will never be born. So,
exactly. And there was a company in between that I also was working with. I went into the finance space a bit as well, and I also learned a lot from that experience and understand. And I think this journey has taught me a lot about being a business professional as well. So yes, Cube would not have been born, and I'm happy about that. So what happened was I had transitioned into the finance space, and I love the finance space. It was really great. But I felt like the world of conferences
you were missing the events.
Yeah, and I just understood the value of the events, because I took on a sales role in finance, and I just realized that what was missing was I understood the value of conferences and how to bring value into conferences to support sales teams, So my whole principle was content and contact. So how do you get in there, have a day and a half of just, these amazing thought leaders sharing their experiences, sharing everything that they've been going through. And then you have this other dynamic of like understanding what their business needs are and making sure to match them up with, concrete networking experiences. So that became my vision, and I thought, yes, this is something that can fast track and add value, and that's what I've really been about: fast tracking and adding value, and that's how the journey's gone.
It sounds like you went through hardship, but you grew from it, and if it's gonna make you feel better, I know 3 great personalities in the history of mankind that grew in their early 30s, and their name is Jesus Christ, Buddha, and Mohammed. So
and Lilly.
Maybe in 2,000 years time, when people will be Lilies, like are you a Christian or a Lily?
Saint Lily. No. I create a cult following. I did say I want to create community.
Yeah, you said that. So
here you go.
On a different level though, more grounded, more on the ground.
Wow.
No. I do think that yes, creating communities is important. Yes, it was hard. To answer your question, hardship is the understatement, loss of identity. When people migrate, when they're so passionate, there's one thing to be about. I was speaking to Andreas earlier about, this war for talent that's going on, But you get people that are very passionate about their roles, and they identify so closely with their roles. When you take that away from them, they lose a big part of that. And it took me a year to find my feet to actually say, hey, this is Lilly, and Lilly is able to add value in the workforce, and that's an important message for people, is that it's important to identify with the companies you are, but you also bring the value, so yeah. So yes, it's about about having a cult following. I'd like Cube to have a cult following because I think it's worth it. I think Cube is a company that thinks. It's a company that cares. I always say to my team.
And why Cube? Because you didn't want to invent the wheel. You wanted to invent the cube. Like, where does a cube come from?
The concept of cube was to create an event experience that you'd like to have. So we took a structure of a cube and said, okay, you'll come to an event. There's many people that don't want to sit in a conference room all day and just hear keynotes, or panel discussions. They want to sit outside and have a coffee and network. And so the concept was take an event such as a cube event, come there and structure it and build it as you'd like to have. So if you want to come in there, attend 3 keynotes and sit outside and have a coffee, that was what we wanted to be able to bring.
Multidimensional.
Yeah, multidimensional, exactly. So it was like, we wanted it. I mean, our motto and our vision was an authentic platform where business leaders can get together in a healthy and productive space. So we used great locations, great hotels and all that, but that's more for us as the organizers to know that they're in a good space with good service, with amazing, atmosphere, so they can experience the event in the way they want to. So that's why the cube concept came. So multidimensional, but basically create your experience the way you'd like to have, So yeah, that was the concept.
Take us through the birth of Cube.
Of Cube.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was nice. That was really nice. And there's some things that have to be laid out in fate. Okay, and I was again at a crossroads, doing really well in my finance world, but yes, I felt the conference world was missing, and I just thought I used to have a guy in my team, incredible guy. He was a guy that could manage my temperament, which, as you can imagine, is up and down on a good day. We were great partners in my previous role in the conference, and I call him a partner because he really did add as a buffer and a support in many things that we, huge projects that we were undertaking. And we'd lost a bit of touch for like a year. And I was sitting with a friend of mine, and I said, I really want to start a conference company. I was like, I have such great ideas. And she's like, yeah, you should do it. And I was like, I would do it if I had him next to me, you know. And she was like, give him a call. She was God, true story. I was parking my car underground and there was this phone call and I checked and it was him calling me. And he's like, hey, Lils, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. He's like, what are you up to? Let's get together. Let's talk. Can we work together? True story.
Oh my God.
Wow.
True story. True story. True story. True story. And yes, so
I think I will start believing in the star signs after this story.
the stars aligned. I would never have set up Cube if I didn't have his support. That is the truth. That is the absolute truth. And again, it's about journeys. You know, you have people that join you and people that, you know, they're there for a point in time and then they also go their separate ways. So we did go our separate ways at some stage during the COVID period, but we're fast friends and we do support each other in all the projects that we do.
Yeah, because during COVID, that was a really difficult
Really
time for you
yeah.
because no conferences and no events. But did you do like digital events? Did you enter into that space?
Yeah. I was quite proud of us. I'm going to show off now. No, I was quite proud of us because we ran our last summit in 2020 in February. We were in Malta as the COVID measures started to being enforced. Actually, as we arrived at the conference in Malta, it was February, 28th of February. I'll never forget it. And the ministry contacted us at the hotel and said, listen, everybody needs to be informed that if they're attending a conference, it's at their own risk. So it was still quite foreign to us. So I was like, no problem. So we circulated it in the opening presentation. And at that stage, there was still no global alerts. But there were these subtle alerts coming in for international travel.
Especially Italy, which is close to Malta. I think Italy was the first country to be hit.
Exactly. So what happened was we ran that event. As soon as we got back, they imposed these measures. So we were going into March. I think on the 17th of March, we did our first webinar. We just jumped onto it. I just realized this might be here to stay. So immediately we were like, what are our options? What are the platforms that we have? What can we do? I was like, there's no way we're going to sit indefinitely and not have content at least. So we took the opportunity, and this is where Cube had their greatest growth, was during the two periods of COVID. Ironically, in the conference industry, that's what I'm telling you, it was quite I'm showing off, was because we used it as a time to grow our database. So we started running all these online events. We created the platform. We created these online webinars, and we grew our ecosystem globally, because then we started seeing the advantage of online events. It wasn't just about having 200 people in the room that were there locally or a few international, reach. It was actually about being able to reach an international
and
audience.
Connect people.
Yeah, and connect people, and people to feel connected as well to a subject, to the industry, to make them feel like, in a way, part of a community again, where they felt so isolated in their homes. So it was incredible. I was very proud of us as a company for just fast tracking that, and consistently throughout COVID, we had webinars going right the way through. So it was a reason why we landed out of COVID with a bang, and we're doing phenomenally. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
And now you're using all this network and monetize on it by, having would you compare the events after COVID with the ones before COVID to be more successful in terms of attendance? So you think the COVID era helped you to grow and boost your network?
Definitely, but I also think that people understood how important human connectivity is. We took a lot of things for granted pre-COVID. So post-COVID, this connectivity was missing so much from human nature, So even though there's many advantages, and I love doing online meetings and I love creating platforms for people to meet online, when it comes to conferences, international events, nothing beats getting face-to-face with people and having this personal time with them, for them to feel your energy, your... nice to grab somebody next to you and say, let me introduce you to so-and-so. It's irreplaceable.
And people appreciate things when they lose it, and then they have it back.
Of course. And, there's so much to be said about that, but the impact of COVID, the traumatic impact of COVID is going to linger for many years with many people, So I'm just glad that conferences and, this face-to-face time with people is back and available freely. This is still, it gives me a shock sometimes to think what we went through.
Yeah. And there you can see that because during COVID, it was unavoidable to meet people only remotely, and you never meet them face to face. And then when you meet them, that's when you actually get that bond, that connection that stays. It's very hard to do that only remotely.
It's so true. Now when they see you, they hug you even, it's amazing, it's so wonderful. We ran a conference yesterday, amazing conference here in Limassol, and you'd been speaking to people and they, I hadn't seen them, and all of a sudden they see you and they just hug you, and it's it's so nice. Nothing replaces human connection. Nothing. Face to face.
Good. Tell us a bit more now. What are you doing now? What are the regions that are hot? Are you expanding?
Yeah, so Cuba is looking obviously at new markets. We love the fact that we can build these communities in different countries. We've tried and tested it so successfully that I'm still trying to formulate the formula, encapsulate the formula, let's say, of why it works. Like we just ran last week an event in Zurich. First time we were in Zurich, and one of our clients had, suggested to us, like, would you do an event out there? So we're like, yes, we'll do it. And we managed to run such a successful event there. And not just that, it was successful not just because the company did well, but because I felt we have a community there now. And we did one in Dublin last year, and there's a community there now. And it's so nice to build these communities around the world. So this year we're in Zurich. We're going to do our first US event in Austin, Texas, which we're very excited about. We actually have people booking for that event, and we're still structuring it. And it's really exciting to go into a singular market. So I'm really excited about going into the US. We're in Athens. Greece is just also, it's inspirational how they've also gone through a great struggle. It's great to be part of going into Greece. But yes, we love being in Cyprus. We really love being in Cyprus, and we really want to create. Through our events, and this is something that we were discussing with a committee yesterday that I work with as well, is how Cyprus we want to create it as a hub for international events. We've got great facilities, we've got great hotels, there's easy flights into Cyprus, we have amazing weather. There's so many reasons why Cyprus should be seen as a destination event, a destination country for international events. I remember, we work...
and it's the geography, as we were saying before. It's in the middle of continents.
So I want to expand Cube, not just international borders that bring communities, but the idea is to expand those borders and then bring them into Cyprus.
Build the network.
So the little communities, to grow these little ecosystems, and then bring them into Cyprus. That's
so your purpose is to make Cyprus great again.
Cyprus is great. Cyprus is great. I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't tell you. I've traveled the world. I always say, I wish I had the right accent in Cyprus, but like I don't have it, so I'm not going to try it. I hope you guys know the expression. It's like, that expression they say, like Cyprus.
Something Kipron energy.
Exactly. I wish it's so true. Every time I go abroad, I spend more than 5 days abroad. I'm just like.
Maybe we should put under our flag.
Yes. Two souvlaki sticks at the bottom instead of the little olive trees. Honestly, guys, Cyprus is. We have absolutely everything: great service, great people, safety, easy to move. Do you know, time is the most precious commodity. Do you know how much we do in a day compared to everybody else in like bigger countries? I wake up in the morning, I'll go to the gym. I could even fit in a coffee, get to the office, loosely said, get to the office, have good morning meetings, etc., go for lunch, come back, finish work, go for coffee, go for dinner, go to the park, go all in one day. You have so much to do in a day because of the proximity. Time, guys.
When I travel with work, and it happens to be at places where I have, friends either back from uni or Cypriot friends who work like in London, and I tell them, hey, I'm here, let's meet. And they say, oh no, you should have told me before to plan it. I'm like, what planet? I'm here. Let's find 1 hour and meet.
Exactly.
They're like, it doesn't work like Cyprus, you know, where
Exactly.
you maybe need 2 hours to commute,
Yeah.
and I have
Exactly.
my schedule, and I cannot, you know, I cannot miss that gym session that I planned for,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
2
yeah.
weeks now.
So true. This is what happens,
Crazy.
you know? Like
So
they have
stressful.
to plan. They plan. It's like, oh, coffee. Next week Thursday, and you're on Tuesday. You know. We're so
It's
spoiled.
coffee,
We're
right?
so spoiled in Cyprus. We're
Oh
so
my
spoiled in
God.
Cyprus. Time. You know, being able to have that time for your friends, your family, and your work, and not have these great commutes or this. I mean, like I told you in Switzerland. Switzerland is, you know, I was having a chat with some of our participants, and they were like, you know, Lily, it's expensive, but everything works. Yes, everything works. But you go into a pharmacy and there's 20 people in the queue, half an hour to pick up Panadol. You go to the train station, train's on time. But you need 2 hours to get to where you're going. 2 hours I can be at Puffer's and back. You know, I mean, it's so important to have a lifestyle that is easy. You know,
Yeah.
It's really, really important, guys.
So I wanted to close this podcast with one question.
Of course.
We went through your journey of moving as a 23-year-old kid, if I may say, back to Cyprus, landed a job that you really wanted, skyrocketed, and then you went through that bad moment, let's say, of your career, but this led to the born of Cube Events. Where do you imagine yourself being more happy when you were working for that company, or now that you have your own company?
I think, you know, I must tell you, every part of the journey has played a part in who I am, you know, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. It's so nice when, you know, my second boss, so the first boss gave me the job, the second boss gave me my wings, you know, and he's just such an inspirational guy, and he basically told me one day, you know, as you know, so intimidated as we are in our youth, he was like, Lily, I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your opinion. Of course, a few years later, he's like, I'm tired of your thoughts. I'm tired of your opinions. But that ability to have people, mentors, people that you look up to, which he definitely is, that gives you your voice is something that's irreplaceable. It's part of the journey. What do I see myself now? I'm very happy that I have Cube because I have the ability to add value and bring value to the market. So I'm very happy where I am now. But I'm very thankful for the giants that supported me and believed in me.
You gave the right answer. That is, you can't compare the two. That what happened was important to who you are today. So
absolutely the truth, though. Absolutely the truth. Yeah.
Amazing. So Lily, thanks for coming.
That's so exciting. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being with us.
Great
Thank
time.
you. Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Really
Thank you,
enjoyed it.
Lily.
Thank you. Appreciate it.